yesterday, we're going to use these trig ratios to help us find missing angles. So the setup and the steps are still exactly the same as what we did yesterday. It's just how we type it into our calculator is different. So we still want to write SOA at the top of our paper every time. Okay? The steps from yesterday, they're still the same. We're starting with the angle. Okay? In this case, we're trying to find an angle, so we're going to start with the angle we're trying to find. Okay? You identify your opposite, your adjacent, and hypotenuse. Okay? Then we use SOHCAHTOA to write an equation, and then we solve that equation. Okay? Very similar to what we did yesterday. Again, just how we're typing in our calculator is different. So we take a look at example 1. We want to find the measure of angle x. And we're going to round our answer to nearest 10. So because we're trying to find angle x, that's the angle I'm starting from. That's the angle I'm circling. And normally when we try to find a missing angle in a triangle, we use the angle sum theorem. We can't use the angle sum theorem because we only know one of the angles. We only know that this angle is a 90-degree angle. We have no clue what the other two angles are. So that's why we have to use trig. Okay. So I'm trying to find angle x. That's the angle I'm starting from. Label, go across. We label that as our what? Opposite. Go to my 90, go across. We label that as our hypotenuse. And this side left over, adjacent. Based off what we labeled, which two sides have pieces of information? Yeah, the opposite has a number, the hypotenuse has a number, so we have the opposite and the hypotenuse. If we have those two sides, if they have info, are we going to use sine, cosine, or tangent? What are we using? Sine. Yeah, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, opposite hypotenuse. So we're going to say sine, but our angle's missing, so I'm going to put x. Trying to find angle x, I'm going to put x. Okay? You always take the sign of an angle. Is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, 6 over 10. Don't worry about simplifying that fraction, just leave it as 6 over 10. Here's where solving becomes different, because yesterday we either multiplied or switched, because the variable is either in the top or the bottom of the fraction. Our variables are angle. Okay, so you have to type it in a little bit different. That little thing here, when the angle is missing, it's not a curse. Use the inverse. Okay, and what that means is inverse, I like to think, are opposites of each other. So when you're solving an equation and you're adding, what's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. Subtracting undoes the addition. If you're multiplying, what's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing, right? The division undoes the multiplication. Well, there's no other operation that's the opposite of sine. Okay? So we use what we call the inverse of sine. Okay? And all that is, because in order to get x by itself, we have to get rid of sine. So you're going to take the inverse of sine on both sides, which is the sine of the negative 1 you maybe been wondering about on your calculator. Okay? So we do that. That's doing the opposite, so cancel that out. We're left with x is equal to this. And that's what you're plugging in your calculator. To plug that in, you're going to go to your calculator. You're going to do second sine, because right above it you have that sign of the negative 1. So second sine, type in that fraction. 6 divided by 2. Okay? And then hit enter. Did everyone get that? Did anyone not get that? You did a weird answer. Calculator's probably still the wrong one. And plug that in and got that. Yep. There's your answer. So round to the nearest tenth, so we would say 36 point what? 36.9. If we take a look at B, again, we're still trying to find angle x. So that's what I'm going to circle. Okay. Label. Start at my angle, go across. We label that as our what? Opposite. Go to my 90, go across. We label that as our hypotenuse. And the side left over, adjacent. Look at SOHCAHTOA based off the sides that have info. Which one am I using? Which stands for cosine. Good, we're going to use cosine. Of our angle, again, our angle is x. That's what we're trying to find. Equals adjacent over the hypotenuse. Cosine. A over h. Again, our angle is missing. It's not a curve, so what do we have to use? What's your question? No. That's why you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. If you simplified like 15 over 20 to 3/4, you'll still get the same exact answer if you don't simplify. Same thing, if you simplify this to 3/5, you get the same exact answer. That's why you don't have to worry about it. If you do, it's not the end of the world. Just a little more work. Okay. Again, the angle's missing. It's not a curve, so we use the inverse. So again, we're dealing with cosine now. We're going to use the inverse of cosine. I'm going to take it on both sides. That way, that cancels. We're left with x is equal to this, and that's what you're plugging into your calculator. So you just do in your calculator, always hit second, and then cosine. Type in that fraction, which was what? 15 over 20. So 15 divided by 20. And you should get that. Anyone not get that? Practice typing this in to make sure your calculator's in the right mode. You know how to put it in correct. Part of answering this is plugging it in. So when it comes to like your quiz or your test, you ask me how to plug it in, I'm not going to be able to tell you. That's part of the work. Make sure you're practicing now, so when that comes, you know how to do it. So we round this near 10 to be 41.4. Technically, it is degrees because it's an angle. We forget to put the degree symbol at the end of the word. Questions over there? Okay. Sometimes we use the variable theta. That variable. So circle with kind of a line through it. What we call theta. It's a Greek letter. We use this a lot with trig to represent angles. Okay? Theta is treated like any other variable. It's treated like x. It's no different. Okay? It's just as you get higher up in math, you want a higher level math, use theta a lot. Like in pre-calc, things like that, you'll see theta. So it's just good to get familiar with it. If it bothers you, feel like this creeps me out, I don't like it, just put an X over it and treat it like X. I don't care. Okay? If it's like overwhelms you to see theta rather than X, make it an X. I'm not going to care. Okay? I just care about you doing the problem right. But it's good to get used to you working with theta as a variable. Okay? So we take a look at example 2. It says find the value of theta. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay? And theta is representing an angle. It's representing angle A. So that's the angle I'm going to circle and start from. Okay? And then label my sides from that angle. So when we go across, we label that as our what? Opposite. Go to your 90, go across, we label that as our hypotenuse, and the side left over, adjacent. I'm going to write it up here so we have it. You should already be at the top of your paper. So if we look at SOHCAHTOA, which one are we going to use? Which two sides have info? Yep, you're right. Adjacent hypotenuse. Which one of these are we going to use? Cosines. Good. So we're going to say cosine of theta, because that's the angle we're trying to find. Again, if you don't like it, put x. I don't care. As long as you get the process right, I don't care what variable you use. Okay? Cosine of theta equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse, so 12 over 13. And again, it's not a curse. What are we going to use? Inverse. Angle's missing. It's not a curse. Use the inverse. So you're just taking the inverse on both sides. The inverse of cosine. Cancels. We're left with theta is equal to this, and that's what you're plugging into your calculator. So we just do second cosine, 12 divided by 13. You should get that. If you're not getting that, let me know so we can fix how you're plugging it in. If we rounded it, say to the nearest tenth or whole number. 10 would be 22 point what? 6. Theta is 22.6 degrees. Roughly. Questions over that? Sometimes when finding the measure of a missing angle, we're given all three sides of the triangle. And then we're told to find the measure of the missing angle. When this happens, you can use any trig ratio you would like to use. Okay? Doesn't matter. So we take a look at example 4. It says find the measure of angle F. Round your answer to the nearest whole number. We're trying to find angle F. I'm going to circle F. Label my sides based off that angle. So again, when we go across, we label that as our what? Opposite. Go to our 90, go across, we label that as our hypotenuse. And the side left over, adjacent. Again, we're using so I rewrite it so you don't have to keep flipping back and forth. Each a little bit better there. Okay. And again, we have all three sides, so it doesn't matter which one we use. For practice purposes, I'm going to use tangent, just because we haven't done that yet with the inverse. Okay? But if this was your practice or a test, you can do whatever you like. You can use sine, you can use cosine, you can use tangent. Just for practice purposes, I'm going to use tangent, just because we haven't done it yet. But it doesn't matter. You'll get the right answer if you use sine, cosine, or tangent. If you want to test it, use like sine or cosine, and I'll do tangent here and see if we get the same answer. So I'm going to use tangent. My angle, you can write F or theta or X, I don't care, but that's what we're trying to find. The variable representing angle F is theta. So I'm going to write theta. And we're using tangent, which is what over what? Yeah, opposite over the adjacent. So it would be 15 over 8. And again, the angle's missing. It is not a curse. What do we use? Inverse. So we take the inverse of tangent on both sides. It cancels. We're left with theta is equal to, this is what we're typing in our calculator. So we type that in. Second tangent. Forget the ratio. 15 over 8. And you should get what? That rounds up to what? 62, because it said round to the nearest whole number. Does someone do sine or cosine and get the same answer? You did sine? Do you get 62? Anyone do cosine and get 62? So it doesn't matter. You get the same answer whether you sine, cosine, or tangent. Guys, when you have all three sides, you can pick your favorite. Questions? So now this bottom example, it's kind of how things are going to be on the practice you're going to do tomorrow and on your quiz. It's going to be all jumbled. Okay, so you have to remember which method you use to solve based off if you're finding an angle or a side. Okay, so we take a look at A. We want to find PR. Okay, PR, is that a side or an angle? It's a side. So I'm going to label PR with X. And I know I'm trying to find the side. So if I look, that means I have to circle an angle. Which angle am I going to circle? Yeah, because that's the angle that has a measurement. R. Okay. Label my sides based off R. If I go across, again, that's our opposite. Go to our 90 across, that's our hypotenuse. Side leftovers adjacent. I'm going to rewrite it so we have it. Based off our sides that have info, which one are we going to use? Because we have to use. What? Ah, good, cosine. Because our adjacent has our variable, our hypotenuse has our number, so adjacent hypotenuse, we have to use cosine. So we're going to say cosine of my angle, which is 40, is equal to adjacent over the hypotenuse. I don't know why I wrote 40 again. Okay. X is up high, so what are we going to do to solve? Multiply. Good. X up high, multiply. We're going to multiply by 17 on both sides. Then stick the 17 out in front, and this is what you're plugging in your calculator. 17 cosine 40. You don't have to hit second. You just do 17 cosine 40. And you should have got that. Anyone not? Okay. So rounding your cent would be 13 point what? 0. You have to put that 0 there to show that you rounded. I know it's silly. And to show that you rounded and it's not exactly 13, so by putting 13.0, you're showing that. Okay. So B says find the measure of angle Q. So we're finding an angle. That's the angle we're going to start from. Label your sides based off that angle. If we go across, again, that's our opposite. Go to your 90, go across, that's your hypotenuse. Side left over is your adjacent. We were given all three sides. Which one do we want to use? Sine? Pattern sine first. We'll use sine. Okay. So we're going to say sine of our angle, which is being represented by theta, so we're going to say sine of theta, equals sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. Again, if you don't want to use sine, use cosine or tangent. See if you get the same answer. You should. Opposite over hypotenuse, we said our opposite was 5. Our hypotenuse is 13. If the angle's missing, it's not a curse. What are we going to use? We'll take the inverse on both sides. Cancel. So we're left with theta is equal to, and that's what you're going to type in your calculator. You're going to hit second sine, 5 divided by 13. Second sine, 5 divided by 13. Then we round to your tenth. Our angle is 22.6. Technically, it's degrees because it is an angle. And last one. Last example. We want to find GH. So I'm going to go put an X on GH. That's what we're trying to find. And GH is a side. So there's no inverse with this one. You only use the inverse with angles. Okay. What angle am I going to circle? What are we going to circle? F or G? Yeah, good. That has our number. Never circle H or the right angle. G has the number, so that's the one we're going to use. Okay? So when we go across, again, that's our opposite. Go to your 90 across, that's your hypotenuse. Side leftovers are adjacent. And based off what we labeled, which one are we going to use? I thought I heard you say. It's fine. Huh? Tangent. Yeah. Tangent because we have our adjacent has our variable, opposite has our number, adjacent, opposite, we're using tangent. Okay? So then we're going to say tangent of our angle is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Okay. Is x up high or down low? Down low, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Yeah, good. Switch them up. We're going to switch them. And that's what you're putting in your calculator. So we're going to do 48 divided by tangent 65. Another angle here. Enter. So the length of that side is 42.1. 4. So that's what your quiz is going to be like, and your test. Okay? They'll be jumbled like that, and you have to decide, am I finding a side? Am I finding an angle? How do I solve? How do I plug in my calculator? Okay? Rest of the time is yours.